came to organizing a little bit by accident, a little bit by the universe asking me to make a contribution to my community. I was undocumented during high school and college years and some of my early 20s, and I wanted to get a degree. I had made all the sacrifices and put in the work in high school to be able to achieve that dream. And during that process, I was also understanding how my political identity was tied to a bigger movement. When the movement for the DREAM Act started to pick up, a couple of students was like, oh, hey, we're thinking about doing something for immigrants and for students. You should come. And it's on that meeting that I shared with a larger group than I had shared before that I was undocumented, and everyone was both excited and concerned, but mostly just took it as a sign that what they were doing was right, which was connect with a student that was being directly impacted by the policy that we were trying to advocate for.
Gracia Lima, a junior at UC San Diego who emigrated from Mexico when she was 13, is leading the campus effort organizing events like this one in support of the DREAM Act.
I am also an undocumented student. But I'm also an activist, and I'm also a woman, and I'm also a sister, and a daughter, and I don't want to be silenced anymore. And that's the reason why I'm standing here today, shaking till death, but I'm sharing my story.
We just started to ask ourselves, what else can we do besides being a network of support to one another? We even found students that they didn't even know that they could pay in-state tuition. They were paying out-of-state tuition.
I take the same principles of community organizing and mutual responsibility to every piece of work that I do, and that is what I'm going to take to the White House when I'm President of the United States of America.
It was a leap of faith. I took one bag and my bike because I didn't even have a car, and I moved to Santa Barbara to start my first job. It was an organization that had a lot of history in electoral politics and organizing voters and canvassing and doing volunteer recruitment to activate voters in the local elections. I was just perplexed at the idea of us engaging U.S. citizens in issues like immigration or economic justice, because I just thought the undocumented people needed to get organized first. We finished the election. We win one, we lose one by, 120 votes. And we had our meeting with the city council member that we didn't endorse, but that won. And he was just dismissive. He just kept saying immigration is a national issue, when we had clearly articulated all the different places of intervention for him to be able to give families relief. Dora Perez, who is one of our members, stands up and blocks him from leaving the room and says, I know you're leaving, but I have one more thing to say. I know that you look at me and you only see an immigrant, and you look around this room and you only see immigrants and not your constituents. But I am precinct captain of 12-12-16, and I will walk that precinct for the rest of my life. And voters received her with a smile. They were like, oh, who we're gonna vote for this year? What news do you have of, the last person that we endorsed? So when the city council heard that, he knew exactly how many votes were in that precinct. He knew exactly how many votes he lost from that region. And his whole demeanor changed. It changed the power dynamic between the city council member and this group of immigrants that were here to lobby. And it is in that moment that I fell in love with electoral organizing, because I recognized that it wasn't just about the action, it was in the reaction, and it was in how do we use it after election day to hold elected officials accountable. I wanted to share it with everyone. I almost wanted to buy an ad and put it in the newspaper. But I went home and I said, if I could do anything for the next 20, 30 years of my professional life, I wanna share this model with the rest of the country, with the rest of organizations, with immigrant organizations, with organizations that are doing economic justice. And I just wrote out this description about, I want to be an electoral organizer, period. And this is what it means, and these are the outcomes that I want to have. So I knew that there were previous iterations of electoral organizing that had been done before. The civil rights movement, the Freedom Summer was a voter registration drive. So I knew that several social movements and history had used electoral organizing as the means of intervention and strategy. And my question to us at that moment was like, who is driving that intervention? And my answer from most people was no one yet. It's incredible and scary. It's incredible that 5 years later, that was my position with the Center for Community Change. That's what I ended up doing. That's what I ended up being responsible for, working with our immigrant partners and supporting them in their pursuit for stronger, efficient, data-driven electoral programs that also hold our communities and our values and our policies at the topmost priority for those candidates that we're endorsing. That became the second largest voter registration that the state had seen. We had hundreds and hundreds of volunteers that were mostly young people that were coming from mixed status families. Everyone in their path basically became a registered voter. I also love how creative everyone would get with their t-shirts, because it's just a sign of pride. It was just so incredible to experience that hope that I had for our work. We didn't win that campaign, but that was a foundation that actually developed the leadership of so many people in the state that are now taking ownership in their own capacities with their own organizations to grow the movement. We lost the campaign, but it was the closest race that he had experienced until he lost this last cycle. When I was hired, I was one of the staffers that was part of this young cohort of CCC representatives. When I think about the number of years that I have been in CCC, I don't feel young. I actually feel quite senior. I just feel like it has been a privilege to be able to build this movement with this organization, because it has allowed me to live out my love for electoral organizing and electoral politics. What I hope for the future of CCC and for myself is to actually continue to center ourselves in what has made us special, which is actually continue to be investing in changing real people's lives. The leadership that we develop is going to be the foundation that we build for a political platform for the next 20, 50, 100 years. So the seeds and the foundation that we're investing should be women of color, Latino, Black communities, and low-income communities, and that is the leadership that will take us to the next years of our social movement. I have hope for the future.